Metro Boomin released a beat and said, whoever does the best diss track on this beat gets another beat from me. Like you're like one of the best producers in the hip hop. Like think about that. How smart that is for virality.
So
right?
like CCO Jack Butcher style.
Yeah, that's CCO.
You know what I mean? Open source that.
Open source. So like there are threads right now of hundreds of people from all over the world like dissing Drake in every single language trying to get this beat.
There's one I sent to the boys from home. It was an Indian classical dance.
Unreal.
That's how.
Think about how smart that is, right?
Yeah.
And then after Drake's reaction, after Drake's latest track, which is the latest diss track in this entire situation, this is what Metro Boomin posted.
Welcome to another episode of No Investment Advice. We got Trung Phan, Bilal Zaidi. Unfortunately, Jack can't join again, but don't worry, he's all good. Like I said last week, I'm just saying up front because I know people were still pinging
people
me.
People be asking, yo, don't worry, we're taking care of our
He's
boys.
Good. He's busy right now, so it's all good. So anyway, Trung, there's only one place to start, man. The internet got taken over this week. I hear you be bopping to these tunes. We got
let's just say this
of the century almost.
We're recording on Tuesday a.m. So disclaimer. Well, disclaimer is like anything could happen. And on a more negative side, I saw a news story hit this morning where somebody shot at Drake's house overnight.
Oh no way!
Yeah, that's I don't know the veracity of that. Yeah, Google it right now. Tell me what you think. Yeah. Tell me if that's just me getting fed fake news. Obviously, none of this. Nobody wants these rap beats to end up the way.
Of course.
Right? Like, this is not cool. What we want to talk about Kendrick v. Lamar was how different this beef. We touched on it a couple weeks ago, but it's like.
Did you say Kendrick v. Lamar, or you just you might?
Oh, sorry. That's a Freudian slip, right?
Kendrick versus Drake. Yeah.
I think I buried the lead here.
Because he basically is the one winning, right?
Kendrick won is I think one way to put it. And
what you sent a meme. I don't know if you've got that anywhere nearby. The 42-point lead one.
Oh yeah. Let's throw it up in a bit. Yeah. But I think first of all, Bilal, was I getting fed fake news, or is that a real?
I looked on Twitter, so it's probably not the best place to be looking because it does look like it's been reported. And I also saw in London the OVO store was vandalized. It said
dude, man, this is not
like us. Like, it's wild, man. It's.
I mean, that's the problem with these things. These things is like that. I mean, not cool, right? Like, it's insane.
Yes, obviously. No, yeah, I mean, we're going to get into the details of this because this one is interesting because we talked about it a week or two ago when he dropped the AI song, right? Because we could shoehorn in the AI discussion in there. That was the Drake original song, right? The one where he had Tupac on it, the AI voice.
Yeah.
Then since then, we've been waiting a while. Like people were like, okay, it's done, whatever. Kendrick Lamar took, 5-6 days or whatever it was. Dropped 3 bangers back to back, right? And just absolutely took over the internet.
616, and he Not Like Us, which was insane. And he dropped Not Like Us an hour. No, sorry, Meet the Grams.
Meet the Grams, that's probably my favorite one.
That's wild. An hour after Drake responded to his first 2. And again, we could get into the weeds of it, but this is more so like speed of the internet, how these beefs are happening.
Dan with social media too. Well, I was just going to say, like, just as a data point, essentially, YouTube's top 10 trending videos when I looked like a day or two ago, it was, I think 7 or 8 of the 10 were related to this, whether they were the actual songs or reaction videos, which we're going to talk about today as well. Which is one of my favorite things on the internet, by the way. Just people reacting to anything, but specifically music. And a shame Jack isn't on today, but during the pandemic, I think before we even did this pod, Jack and I would send each other American people reacting to UK grime music. And it's incredible because they don't always get all the references, but they're very enthusiastic, and it's one of the best things on YouTube.
Yeah, Bilal has sent me probably a dozen reaction videos. Like, he's not even joking. And before Bilal so Bilal has like a collection of reaction videos, which is an amazing. But the thing I would say is this is just a larger NIA theme about media, where we always talk about the fracturing of media here, how internet has fractured different groups of fandom. But like when you can coalesce around these There's only a handful of these cultural figures now. And like Drake, the king of streaming, right? Like Drake's probably the most successful hip hop artist ever, just by pure numbers, streaming financially. Kendrick is probably the most critically acclaimed hip hop artist.
He won the
last
Pulitzer.
2 decades. Won the Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Incredible, writer and artist on that front. So the cultural mindshare it's just massive, right? I mean, you couldn't. Here's the thing, blah. I think you touched on this, but you're like, if this is J. Cole, who's kind of tangentially involved in this now, but if it was like J. Cole versus like Post Malone, no one would care. You know what I mean? It's just like
Post Malone.
No, but I mean,
I'm just thinking of
really
Post Malone coming
right?
up with some bangers, though. You know.
But like Drake and Kendrick, this might be the last to ever happen because there's just no more stars like this. These two guys came up.
It's just going to be AI rappers in the future.
Yeah, it's all AI rappers. So like, Bilal's going to tee up that. So when we come back after that video, I just want to talk about how like weirdly Kendrick utilized the technology, the platforms better than Drake, because Drake is historically known as Mr. Viral, Mr. Meme.
Yeah,
right?
he stays, like connected to all the new stuff, and he's
getting really bodied here.
He's getting, and the funny thing is the meme pages. We'll get onto this. Like, there's really popular meme pages. There's one that I follow, which I can't say the name of. I can't say all the words in the username, but he's one of the funniest people on Instagram, and he clearly is just like Drake's mouthpiece. Like, he's not being objective, right? And he's just like, oh my God, Drake came out with this, and everyone in the comments is like, well, again, stuff I can't always say, but they're basically saying get off his, nuts, as we'd say. So that's basically what it seems like either way, you can appreciate both of them right now. And I've been a Drake fan, right? Like, it's not, I like them both. I'm not like a fanboy of either. I just like them both. And when Drake did the original one, I was like, oh, that's pretty good, right? It's no ether, but it is pretty good for today's era. And then Kendrick comes in and you're like, oh my God, what? This is going mad.
Well, Bilal, you probably follow hip hop closer than I do in recent years. Everyone, and then when you're talking about like a rap beef, people are just like, this is one of those moments like you come at the king, you best not miss, because everybody's like, you're gonna outright Kendrick. Not only that, because the running joke with Drake is that he has a team of ghostwriters, right?
Yeah, completely.
So I think it's been proven he has a bunch of ghostwriters.
Yeah.
So, oh man, okay, let's. Why don't you show that video?
Well, so the meme of the week this week is the reaction video compilation. So we also, for people who haven't heard, if you got kids in the car, just a heads up, this is adult music here. So 1 second.
All right, so Bilal, what are you showing us here?
So this is a compilation of different reactions to one of the Kendrick songs, Not Like Us. And so as I was saying here, yeah, I mean, you're just going to catch the vibe here. Like I say, if you got kids in the car, make sure you...
so I want to tee one thing up here.
Go on.
One of the things that Kendrick, which we will talk about how he's kind of winning this battle, is even his thumbnails. Like the thumbnail he has for this video is Drake's house in Toronto, which, I mean, looking back is not great if you think about there's apparently a shooting there overnight. But it's like, he has that with, there's these tags that are used for one of those crime apps to say that there's a sexual
citizen app.
It's
exactly.
so, I mean,
wild.
It is unbelievable,
wild.
Right?
And I mean, honestly, we could talk about it in a minute, but just, I mean, the original one from Drake, didn't he put his shoe size or something?
Yeah, he put the shoe size, but I mean, like this.
This is next level. That's
he escalated it so quickly. Basically, he calls Drake a pedophile, and he did it in Euphoria, this song, right? Anyways, go ahead.
PDF. Yeah, okay. So this is the reaction video. Here we go. The guy on the top just jumping down. All right, you get the idea, right? So we're not going to play the whole video here. But let me stop sharing 1 second.
That's the song, by the way. First of all, the beat on that song, incredible.
Incredible. Did you break out into a crip walk? Let's be honest. No, yeah, I bet you can do it, because I know you play basketball, and I feel like you're light on your feet. You could probably
at this age, I mean, I'd probably tear my ACL trying to do that.
That's true. Yeah, I was making sure I didn't try, because I definitely would do that as well. But no, the beat, because one of the things is people were saying the other songs were a little bit more serious, like the kind of dark beats. This feels like you'd play this in a party, right? Like in the club. And there's a few lines on there.
People have been playing in the club. Dude, they played it during the game yesterday, the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves.
No way. No way.
Bro,
were people just dancing to it?
People would lose that. No, but it got clipped because everybody's like, oh my God, this song's like, bro. Because the thing about diss tracks is typically they don't get mainstream play, right?
Yeah, they're just bars for bar. You're going in with the hard lyrics. You're not really playing it in a party normally, but this is both.
So Dan Runcie has this great article about the diss tracks in the streaming era. Again, he top lines it with, let's hope this doesn't translate into violence, right? It's like, historically, this has not translated violence since the late 90s, obviously with Biggie and Tupac, terrible tragedies both ways. And the way that Dan Runcie wrote it, and I think you appreciate this, he's like, these songs, like the shelf life is not long, right? It's like you listen to that diss track, you hear you get that first week massive streams, but then you're going to stop, right? Like most of these songs are not going to be like, my son's not going to be listening to Euphoria 50 years from now. Maybe not. But what Dan Runcie said, which is super interesting from Trapito, is it's customer acquisition. Right? It's like, remember how we talk about the Super Bowl? When somebody plays the Super Bowl, you start listening to the rest of their catalog. When you start, so this is like sucking in, sucking in way more mind share than the Super Bowl, right? It's unbelievable, the mind share right now.
Taken over not just hip hop music, but just in all over the feeds, right? And maybe there's people listening to this who aren't into this, which is fair enough. And it isn't on your feeds, but just know, like as soon as I started sharing on Twitter to you guys, right? Like in the DMs, my Twitter algorithm changed overnight. Not even overnight, there and then. My whole Twitter feed is full of this now. It's incredible. And I'm actually quite happy because it was getting a bit too crypto Twittery for me. It was just like the same old boring jokes. And now I'm like seeing some really funny cultural
so instead
references.
Of seeing like Bowden memes and like having FOMO, you're just like, you're laughing.
But the Bowden one was good too, to be fair. I shared that one with you with the Ferrari or whatever it was. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's many different directions we can go here. I think we both agree, for people who want to know our opinion, which is probably no one, Kendrick obviously is winning this, right? Like, and you're Canadian, right? So how are you feeling?
I'm double biased, right? Like I gotta rep Drizzy from the 6, but first of all, there's a few reasons why. So some of the barbs that they traded, Kendrick said Drake had another kid, called him a pedophile. But Drake's big barb at Kendrick was that he was beating his wife. I mean, this is like pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it's very
right?
serious. Yeah.
And they're sullying each other's reputations. And like, it's quite negative in that sense. Like people that I've read where they're like pretty upset about this thing is like, these are like, first of all, these are unsubstantiated claims, a lot of them. And then so far, Drake also said that Kendrick's current partner, who they have a child with, has another child with one of Kendrick's, bosses. And to be quite frank, both of them, I mean, Kendrick can't really play like the sexual harassment card either. Like he put on, what's his name? He put on an artist that was Kodak Black.
Okay.
Was charged with rape, right? He's like, and then Kendrick's manager also has a sexual charge case. Kendrick's mentor, Dr. Dre, famously has a case, for beating with domestic abuse with his wife.
Yeah.
It's like no one is coming out of this positively, right?
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, you're right, because normally you kind of associate, negative stuff that comes with it, all sorts of people, but especially artists, right? And in the rap game, obviously you've got like people pretending a lot of the time, but also actually gangsters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that comes with that already. And the thing with Drake is he's not that, right? Like he's the opposite. He's, pop guy.
Literally Aubrey Graham, the actor, right?
Yeah, he's Wheelchair Jimmy, you know what I mean? So he's Wheelchair Jimmy. And so I'm actually quite surprised that he went down this route, because it, like you said, it really is doing a lot of damage. Like now, if you go on YouTube, I shared one with you earlier, Abba and Preach, who are really massive YouTubers, also Canadian, by the way, I think. And they're doing a whole breakdown of this history of Drake and how he could be getting investigated. And it's so really...
Are they saying that he might take a massive L here?
I think so. I mean, because again, a lot of this stuff is that YouTube narrative stuff where people pull old interviews or lyrics and they're like taken out of context, obviously. Those two are actually normally pretty good, like for trying to see both sides, I think. But I didn't know any of this, and I watched it this morning, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. Like, some of the stuff is already very questionable stuff, and we don't need to.
There are threads of like people. He texting, younger
like
stars,
14-year-olds and stuff. And
it was like, it's
weird.
kind of. Listen, again, we'll let the internet investigate at that end. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is probably the other top story, is Kendrick hits a. So I think Kendrick wins because there's two things that you kind of touched on. Is like Drake's background. I mean, Kendrick's from Compton, right? It's like he grew up in this actual life, and where Drake, Wheelchair Jimmy, man, he's like lived a upper middle class lifestyle in Toronto, Canada, right? And Kendrick hits him on two things, which is very difficult to come back from. Or there's a point where Drake's just so big it doesn't even matter. And people have known this.
But I feel like these sort of allegations are the sort of things where no matter what, even if you prove that you're fine, enough people hear it, and you're kind of left with that. That's why it is.
The fact that you have to defend that
now forever, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild.
I was just going to say the thing that I think would love your thoughts on, the two things that I thought interesting with Kendrick, especially in the Not Like Us. I mean, his Not Like Us is basically saying like he's not real. He's not a true African American.
Not one of us, basically.
He's a half Jewish Canadian from Toronto. It's like basically what he's saying is that the two lines he had was, there's a lot of question about race and hip hop, right? There's always been this question about music, about musicians and record labels appropriating Black culture.
Yeah.
And like that's what they're saying about Drake. So that was one.
He called him a colonizer, right? That was the phrase he used.
Exactly. It's like you go down to Atlanta, you do stuff with a Future, Young Thug, 21 Savage, all for street rap when you need money. And I was like, that line is like, how can you like the next time Drake does a collab with these guys, that's what everybody's gonna think about, right? So like you go, Kendrick,
oh my God,
pulled out the cannons on this.
Oh yeah. Well, what you said two things. What was the second one?
Yeah, it was the racial. It was the questions about biracial racial identity, and then the colonizer stuff.
Yeah. And then I mean, to me, the line of the whole song is the A minor. That is ridiculous. And on the reaction videos, I was forwarding to that.
That's when they lost it.
You're like, oh my God, because and again, people, if you haven't heard the song, you should go listen to it and make your own decision. But I mean, I think why it's relevant for this podcast, and that's obviously, one, because we're interested in it, and mostly we just share stuff we're interested in. But like we said, it's taken over the internet, and I think there's a lot of interesting angles beyond, just rap beef and music, stuff like that. It's about how the internet has played a role in this, and how two things. One is obviously the social media angle, how much of this is about the reaction videos and the different meme pages and the blogs and all that sort of stuff coming to some sort of consensus. And then,
but even more so than like Drake versus Meek Mill like 7 years ago.
Before,
right?
That
also happened internet age, but this is like
completely.
The YouTube way bigger, TikTok's way bigger.
And I think honestly, the streaming to me is the big part, because I don't really watch any live streamers, but I know it's a massive area, like, and they all get clipped, right? So all of those guys, a lot of those guys are YouTubers, but they also do live stream. So is it Kai Cenat, I think, is one, and then there's I forgot all the names, right? But they're like massive streamers, and there's like 100,000 people watching this guy at once, and they're just clipping it straight away, and it goes all over the place. You got DJ Academics, which is one of the biggest guys in hip hop as well, like streaming this reaction. He's a massive Drake fanboy.
And Budden obviously hates Drake.
Yeah, no, so yeah, this Academic. I didn't see the Budden stuff, but yeah, it's just really interesting, because I feel like a lot of people who aren't exposed to that part of the internet don't realize how much it punches above its weight in terms of influence, essentially. And
that's a great point.
And that's why I was saying the 7 or 8 out of 10 videos being related to this is really, pretty wild. So, is there anything
let's
else?
give a contrast. Let me actually contrast this.
Yeah.
Let's contrast it with Biggie and Tupac. Just some small parts, like the pace of change, because you're talking about the internet, right? So people may not remember, but the Biggie and Tupac used to be quite close. Tupac became a star faster than Biggie did, and then they were friends. Biggie would open for Tupac when Tupac was ever in New York performing. But then it all came apart when Tupac, I think it was 94, Tupac went to record at a studio in New York with one of somebody from Biggie's camp. And then he was robbed and shot at the recording studio. And then as he's leaving the building, he realized that Biggie and Sean Combs, Diddy, were in the building. So that's when Tupac decided in his head that oh, these guys tried to kill me or try to rob me. And there's still some dispute around that. But the point is this, is like a few days later, Tupac actually went to jail over sexual assault charges. While in prison, Biggie released the song "Who Shot Ya." You remember that song?
Oh my God, insane!
People, well, first, looking back, probably shouldn't have released a song called "Who Shot Ya" if there was even any confusion.
Oh my God!
Tupac thought the song was
like,
about him.
Sorry, real quick. What's the guy who just passed away? O.J. Simpson writing a book saying, "If I did it,"
if I did it, yeah.
And the if is like a tiny if. I mean, obviously they're selling books, but it's
so ridiculous.
It's wild, yeah.
So Biggie denied that, but the whole point that broke the relationship. But do you know how long it took for Tupac to hit him up? He did hit him up over 2 years later. Like that, like speaking to the pace
of
rebuttals, right? It's like that. That's
what was this? This was like 5, 6, 7 days or something.
This is all in a week.
It's just 3.
Like, and we're all going to forget about it in a week from now, right? Yeah. This speaks to the pace and of the internet. But I did want to point out some very specific things. You kind of touched on it. Bilal brought up the streamers, the live streamers, not the streaming services. But that's a great point. The amount of people following these live streaming artists, the reaction videos have gone parabolic, right? In the past 5, 6, 7 years since Meek Mill v. Drake, which was the last really kind of big one. Drake won that one purely, by the way. Back to back
was phenomenal. Yeah.
Obviously, TikTok came out of nowhere. It's the largest platform for kind of music now. And anyways, still ban it, but yeah, I'd like to throw it in there. But
it's a good point. These are all massive changes to how it's being consumed and spreading.
Exactly. Yeah. So now I want to talk about how Lamar has leveraged these technologies. So Drake, again, is Mr. Meme from previous era, right? First guy to really embrace the internet, just roll with the memes. Here's what Kendrick did. Kendrick, first of all, other than dropping these tracks, is a ghost. He's letting the tracks speak for themselves, right? Because even like Drake is using his IG stories to respond. Like when Euphoria came out, Drake dropped a scene from 10 Things I Hate About You. You remember that? Julia Stiles is like, I hate how you dress. Is like trying to mock the line that Kendrick had, but didn't really hit. So Lamar, Kendrick, other than dropping these diss tracks, has been a ghost. His crew, though, couple things. Kendrick has allowed all of his songs to be remixed license free. So if anybody's making money off this, anything, you can post it a million times, like really smart,
well,
right?
Also the BBL instrumental thing, right?
Yeah, so go back to, you mentioned Metro Booming and what's it called? BBL Season?
Instrumental. It was like an instrumental or
BBL
something
Drizzy.
like that.
BBL Drizzy.
Yeah.
Is the name of the instrumental. So just a quick rewind on this and why this is relevant to like internet age rap beef is the Metro Boomin and Future, the rapper, dropped an album earlier this year, and Kendrick had a verse on that album, which is how this whole thing started. I don't want to get the weeds, but Kendrick basically said it's not the big three, referring to Drake himself and J. Cole. It's the big me. He's just like, these guys not on my level.
Good line.
Total subtweet, right? Never called out Drake, baited him. That's what started all this. But so Metro Boomin, obviously on Kendrick's side here, Metro Boomin released a beat and said, whoever does the best diss track on this beat gets another beat from me. Like you're like one of the best producers in the hip hop. Like think about that. How smart that is for virality.
So like CCO, Jack Butcher style.
Yeah, that's CCO.
You know what I mean? Open source that.
Open source. So like there are threads right now of hundreds of people from all over the world like dissing Drake in every single language, trying to get this beat.
There's one I sent to the boys from home. It was an Indian classical dance.
Unreal.
That's how.
Think about how smart that is, right?
Yeah.
And then after Drake's reaction, after Drake's latest track, which is the latest diss track in this entire situation, this is what Metro Boomin posted, which is one of the funniest. He posted this meme.
I'll read it out for people who can't. Yeah, who can't see that.
Chris Paul hits a huge 3 to cut the lead down to 42.
That I was referencing that earlier in the pod, right? So that is incredible. I mean, that's perfect, right? That's exactly what's happening right now.
And it's like the thing about internet culture with Metro Boomin and this beat is, you remember the joke about SoundCloud, right? Everybody, you go viral, it's like, here's my SoundCloud. It's because everybody trying to come up in the music game for the past decade had a SoundCloud where they posted their best stuff, right? So they're utilizing that part of the internet. And what would I say is like obviously TikTok, we mentioned Twitch streamers, even like Google Maps. People are weaponizing Google. You remember that?
Yeah.
People are relabeling Drake's house as like Kendrick's house.
Owned by Kendrick. Like, yeah, exactly.
Or like a child daycare. Just like really like out of control, right? Yeah. But yeah, man, that's what I'd say. Is
also, the Wikipedia of their thing looks like documenting a war or something like that. That's pretty funny as well.
Dude, I mean,
if someone's got to make a case study, like write this all out after this is done a little bit, because there's so many interesting parts to it. Anything else on that before we move on, Trung? I mean, we did kind of talk about reaction videos, but to me that is a really big part of it. Just how it extends. And well, just one last point on that is, a lot of people who don't use YouTube and stuff like that don't realize how much time people are just spending watching these streamers and watching other people do things. The other example is gaming, right? Like how I think it's something like more time is spent people watching other people play games than playing games themselves, which seems to not make mathematical sense, but apparently it's true. So regardless,
no, it makes sense, man. It makes sense.
So many people watch it. You're just watching someone go through Minecraft, or you're playing COD or whatever, the GTA, whatever the games are nowadays. I'm clearly not a gamer anymore, but I'm saying the most Halo.
Yeah, you know, people playing GTA
Duke
1.
Nukem. Do you remember that? Duke Nukem was incredible though. Oh my God.
Nukem
Crash Bandicoot as well.
No, what was the line from Duke Nukem? I'm chewing gum and kicking some ass, and I'm all out of gum.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna chew some gum and kick some ass. I'm all out of gum.
I'm all out of gum. Yeah, real good. All right, anyway, so let us know who you think won that. Obviously, it's Kendrick, but I want to hear your arguments for and against this one. You also shared this with me. Do you still want to go for this? The greatest diss tracks of all time? This is quite funny.
Just list the top 10. Do you have the top 10 there?
Yeah, I've got it up open here. 1 second. So,
so
number
we'll scroll
10.
Down.
This is from The Ringer.
Yeah.
How to Rob 50 Cent. I completely forgot about this song. This is a classic song.
Oh, that was another rap beef. Oh, I remember that.
And honestly, I didn't even realize at the time, because I was probably, 99? So I was literally 11. I was born 88. So
was that versus Murder Inc.?
I'm assuming, because I remember he had the stuff with Ja Rule, but maybe this is even before that. Right. Let me just see. Yeah, anyway, there's a whole paragraph. I'm not going to read that in time. But this was old 50 Cent. Like, I love that old 50 Cent. But this is before Get Rich or Die Trying, I'm pretty sure as well. So he had some bangers back then. Truth by Gucci Mane, 2012. Honestly, I don't even know that one.
I don't remember that one.
I'm pretty bad with the newer. To me, that's new, because mine is 2000.
2010, yeah.
I know, yeah. Real Motherfucking G's, Eazy-E, 93.
Dude, Easy. I remember owning that track. That was Eazy-E versus NWA. On the back cover of that album, it was a photo of Dr. Dre dressed as a woman. Dude, that is one of the hardest songs. So anyways, real motherfucking G's, people listen to that.
That's classic. Number 7, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, 2024, the one we just spoke about. I would put that up higher, honestly. Because
you know what? To your point, that is one in 50 years to listen to, because the beat goes so hard.
You just want to bop to it, right? That's the move. Number 6, The Bridge Is Over, Boogie Down Productions, 1987. That's also before my time.
Famous. That was Queens. KRS-One. That was a New York type of beef, like Queens versus Brooklyn. Yeah.
All right, number 5, The Story of Adidon, Pusha T. Yeah. That was Target. It was Drake. So that was very good.
That was
number 4, Takeover by Jay-Z. Obviously, the famous one with Nas. That was phenomenal, though Ether takes it for me. But Takeover was very, very good.
3's got to be Ether.
Number 3, Ether, Nas. Yep, I think that's the right way around. Though I would put now number 2, No Vaseline, aka Vaseline, how I'm calling it.
One of the greatest. Do you remember that song?
This is 91, so this is way before.
So you got Ice Cube took down. I mean, that's when he left.
Because NWA, yeah.
He eviscerates you guys want to know what the No Vaseline reference is, right? Like you know.
You can take a guess.
You take a guess.
He's not talking about
where do people use Vaseline, and what happens if you don't use Vaseline?
That's true. That's true. Okay. Number 1, Hit 'Em Up, Tupac. I mean, I think that's probably about right.
That's the one.
That is, I mean, that's fighting music. You know, when you were like 15-year-old Aggie Trung, was that the song you were drawing for?
I mean, that was me in the gym trying to be a hero on the deadlifts, throwing up my back.
I will say they're missing a few of the UK ones here because obviously not on the same level. But in terms of level as in notoriety, but some incredible. This got me listening to some old one. Like in the last 4 years ago, Wiley, who's the godfather of grime, and Stormzy, who's really popular and famous now, had a pretty phenomenal one as well recently. And then there's some ones from the 2000s. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic here. Trung, Tom Brady's roast and Netflix smashing live again and creating these cultural moments. So did you watch the whole Tom Brady roast?
Man, I ain't got time for 3 hours.
It's 3 hours, so I definitely didn't either.
Well, a couple of things is, do you like roasts?
Say that again.
Do you like roasts?
I mean, those comedy roasts, yes. I mean, when you say roast, I'm thinking of roast dinner, but you know, a nice English guy there. But no, I will say it's like a lot of comedy. If it's done really well, I do like it, yeah. But this one I actually think was quite high quality because a lot of them aren't that good. So it's less about the roast format. I don't mind the roast format is the answer, yeah. What about you? You're not really for you?
No, I love roast. I agree with you. I 100% agree with what you said. It's like, this was an extremely high quality roast. And again, to frame to the listeners why we wanted to talk about this is, again, another cultural event that Netflix is like Netflix and sports we've talked about on and off. Are they going to buy sports rights? Like they've done obviously the F1 Drive series. They've done the golf swing series. They've done the tennis series, which actually just canceled because they said the tennis players weren't given enough insights. But so Netflix is trying to figure out sports, right? They have this advertising tier, and people, blah. We talked about this. You're in the advertising game. A live moment where 20 to 30 million people are watching at the same time, it's just invaluable, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just like you want to fire hose attention there. And this was it. Nothing was happening on Sunday night. This random Sunday night on a May, they drop a roast of Tom Brady. It's actually brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is this. It actually took over the timeline over Drake and Kendrick. That's how big of a moment this was.
And I'll say that's really difficult to do because honestly, live comedy, that's 3 hours. A roast, like you normally would comb through the best parts, right? And keep that and make an hour or hour and a half or whatever the normal roasts are, 2 hours, I don't know. And you know, not in a bad way, but a lot of the people were doing the roast were like NFL players. And it's like Kim Kardashian came up. Obviously, there's comedians. And like they were really good. Like they did a really good job. Or
Andrew Schultz wrote about it. Andrew Schultz, he's like...
Yeah, he was one of the roasters as well.
He basically said exactly what you said. Is like having like athletes live. Nobody's like reading on teleprompters. Is like... But like...
That was quite funny, yeah.
Drew Bledsoe, the quarterback that was replaced by Tom Brady, crushed it. Julius Edelman, a wide receiver for Patriots, won a couple Super Bowls, crushed it. Gronk, obviously such a personality. I didn't think he actually did that great, but he was just over the top, right? And Bill Belichick, freaking funny, man. Really funny dude. They made
that cultural moment after with him and Robert Kraft coming. Did you see that? The shot they took together?
Yeah, they took the shot together. Kevin Hart, because they hate each other. They actually hate each other, right? But like Bill Simmons on his podcast was doing like the body language coach. He's like, if you actually look at the body language, like Bill Belichick was not happy.
Oh, he's not happy. Yeah. They were doing it because it's live and they have to do it. They look like dicks if they don't do it. But I mean, I think there were 3 or 4 comedians that really smashed it. I thought they did a great job as well.
Who was it? Nikki Glaser.
Nikki Glaser. I thought Schultz was pretty good. And then that guy.
Dude, Tony.
He was probably the best. He was my favorite.
His delivery is so good. Right now,
I think I sent it. Let me just there's a 2-minute summary. Let me just put it up. Should I just play it? 1 second.
Yeah, play
Tony
it.
Hinchcliffe, right?
Okay, yeah, for the record, like again, if you're with your kid, these were the other thing I'll say that Bob, before you play it, and this is a good tier for Tony. Here's what I'll say. I think why this also surprised people was for the last 4 years, you could not have done this roast. These jokes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Out of control.
They've gone back. It's gone full circle back because it went. Like, everything became so PC. And I'd say like the cultural moment for me was Chappelle, where it started. He was really pushing back. Other people were obviously doing it, but Chappelle. So it really pushed back, and now we're back to the roast level of just
it's fully,
anything
do you know
goes.
what? This is one of those moments because of Netflix famously had a pretty woke culture. Like they tried to cancel, like 20 employees tried to cancel Chappelle. They're like, no, we're holding firm. And then a lot, I mean, they try to dominate comedy too, right? Because, hold on. Yeah, play this, please. Go ahead.
No, go on. You can finish what you're saying. I'll just.
Oh, yeah. So Netflix has actually taken over the comedy game in a lot of ways, right? Actually, Bilal, I'll ask you about this because I know you're big into comedy.
Yeah.
And Netflix wanted to do comedy for a lot of reasons. It's cheap, right? Relatively speaking. It's original
like
content.
Cost. Yeah.
Yeah, so it used to be HBO. HBO used to be if you're a comedian and you got an hour on
old,
HBO,
like
you
Chris
made it.
Rock, Never Scared, bigger,
you made
blacker.
it. You made
Chappelle.
it. Netflix is like, you actually know what? These people, I mean these comedians, we can pay them, and producing an hour of comedy is way cheaper than making House of Cards, right?
Yeah. And I will say that because this was part of, I mean, they also did Netflix as a joke festival or something, right? Is that what it was called? So I don't know if this was a part of that or it was done at the same time, but it was around this whole category. One of the things I will say though, between HBO and Netflix is HBO, not just with comedy, but everything. Before they changed the Max, we talked about this on the pod, you knew the quality was very high and it was a filtered version of like the best of the best. And Netflix, I don't think has, that wasn't their strategy, obviously. Specifically with comedy, they had so many people getting specials that they became not so special anymore. But that's why the live
like mind share though.
Mind
share
like, wise, definitely, yeah. You're like, okay, you're gonna go there, and they obviously got Chris Rock, they got Chappelle, like they did some big ones, Ricky Gervais. Now here, this one, like you said, I think they actually did a great job of making it live because it could have gone the other way. Like say the jokes weren't hitting, and now you don't have time to comb through it. It's not gonna be as it's good,
not a
obviously.
Cultural moment, right?
Exactly.
But I think you brought up a great point. They're gonna own this now. They're gonna own the roast space. If you think about how crazy that is.
Oh my God, that's
Comedy
a good point,
Central used to own the roast space, right? My favorite roast of all time is Emmett Smith.
Jamie Foxx, that Jamie Foxx come on stage. Oh my God.
Jamie Foxx was the host.
So good.
Jamie Foxx, first of all, Jeff Ross is the greatest roaster. Everybody knows this. He's roast master general. He's the king of roast. Jamie Foxx destroys Jeff Ross in this in the Emmett Smith roast from many years ago. So Justin Bieber also famously had a very good roast. And so I'd say this, back to why NIA theme, media, internet is like Netflix already kind of became the new HBO for comedy. Although blah brought up a good point. Their bar was a little bit lower in the sense of they're just throwing money around. But now they're going to do live roasts of this caliber.
Yeah, and it's Tom Brady. This isn't like some random person. This is the GOAT.
Insane. This is the GOAT.
Yeah, of his sport, but some will say any sport, if you're American anyway. I wouldn't say that, but he's up there, obviously. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, and the only thing that was, do you remember when someone made a massage joke and then Brady went up and was like, don't make
Jeff Ross.
Yeah, and that was kind of weird because it wasn't like him trying to be funny. He was actually saying like, no, don't say stuff about it.
You want to know what it is? I think this is the joke about that is like, because they're setting the table, right? Like Kevin Hart opened,
that's true.
But Kevin Hart opened, remember this, Kevin Hart opened and he went after Giselle, which I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, but I knew everyone's going to go after that.
No, but I mean, it's like, because you're wondering is like,
where's the line?
That's the minute is like, where's the line for this roast?
Right? Yeah.
Right off the bat, Kevin Hart's going after Giselle, saying that she's banging her trainer. And I'm just like, oh my, like, no, it's like, this is the roast, but this is Netflix. I'm like, is there going to be some filters here? He sets the line, floodgates open. They're making Aaron Hernandez jokes.
That was the part to me that was the wild. Like, even for me, and I don't normally have a line for comedy.
I know.
I was like, damn, that's wild.
No, because you know it's getting real, right? And you're like, okay, no holds barred. Anything. I think that's why people appreciate this. And people, of course, people will be offended. But it's like what the South Park guys have the greatest line ever. They're like, we're equal opportunity offenders.
That's the best,
If everybody is getting roasted, nobody can complain. That's it.
Yeah.
Every single, they had a black gay lesbian.
Yeah.
Or was it a?
She was a lesbian. Yeah.
She had a great, one of the best jokes of the night.
Yeah, she was good.
She dissed Drew Bledsoe, basically talking about a strap-on dildo. Said like, your ring is as real as my strap-on, right? It's like, this was like the level of the jokes. I'm sorry, if you're offended by this, we can't.
It's not for you then.
Like,
roast aren't for you. Comedy might not be for you, which is fair enough. Like everyone likes different
it's
things.
It's not for everyone.
I think that's the thing with this. You have to go into it knowing anything goes. That's kind of what makes it good, is the fact that there's room. That's what makes comedy good, in my opinion, too, is this, they can talk about things.
Everybody's thinking it.
Yeah. It's the intrusive thoughts, or they're saying something where you didn't, it's the misdirection, you don't see it coming. And so, I mean, let's play the Hinchcliffe one, yeah? Because,
it goes, parental warning for the listeners.
Parental warning, yeah. All right, let's go. This is 2 minutes, so we can play a little bit.
Tom is afraid of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself.
I mean,
Kevin is
Jesus
so small
Christ.
that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting. Tom Brady is a patriot, which is surprising considering he looks like a Confederate fag. Clearly, your ex-wife takes after you. I hear she's out there draining balls right now.
Okay.
People love you, Tom. You have the same fan base as Kyle Rittenhouse. Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today. I knew you were here when we were all out of chocolate milk backstage. You look like the final boss in George Floyd, the video game. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss.
Okay, we get it. All right. That's wow. Sorry. All right. That basically what you said. Everyone's getting it there, right? There's no rules around what you can say, you can't say. And again, this is not us saying it. This is the comedians who are allowed to say this. Go on.
This is a cultural moment, people. Think about it like this. It's fully swung back. And I'll add something to this. Even Hollywood. Do you know the movie Challengers? The one starring Zendaya?
Yeah. I saw that. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw it.
Apparently there's some horny shit going on in that movie, man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She's involved in a threesome, apparently. The dudes are doing some stuff. Like, we're just talking. You know what?
This is where we're at. This is the cultural climate
we're reflecting culture.
That's
we
it.
Are 2 years ago, Jack's buying Bored Apes, right? He's reflecting culture. We are just telling you people where the culture is at right now. This movie, Saltburn. Have you seen this Saltburn?
No, I haven't seen that. No. Is it wild?
Apparently, there's a scene in Saltburn. It's a Get Out type movie where I think a lower class British person goes to an estate of a higher class, and he sees rich white people doing weird shit. But I think he's also white. And apparently, some dude's tugging it off in the tub. And this other dude comes in and drinks the tub water. And I'm just like, bro, what year are we in?
Yeah. This is like back? You're right.
This is like early 2000s.
That's what always happens though, right? It goes one way and it swings back and then it'll eventually come back in the middle. And I think this was a reaction. Obviously, the jokes are the jokes and the movies are movies. But this is always what happens where things become too PC and then people are like, wait a minute, this is... While we were pretending like we can't make these jokes in the middle.
We're not having fun anymore.
Exactly. And so, I mean, that's great. I'm all for it. If people don't like it, fair enough. It's up to them.
Do you remember There's Something About Mary?
Oh, my God.
Bro.
Incredible.
You couldn't have... This Ben Stiller tugs one off, shoots a load in his ear.
He's got his hair up like this.
Yeah. Cameron Diaz takes the load, puts it in his hair. This was one of the most successful movies of that year.
Oh yeah,
and I mean the Farrelly brothers, right?
Are they the ones who made that?
Yeah, the Farrelly brothers had this insane run. They did Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin. There's Something About Mary, and these are classic.
That's like 2000s classic. Is it 90s or 2000s?
Late 90s, early 2000s. There's not a single comedy in the last 5 years that's going to last the test of time. It's because it's not fucking funny.
I remember my uncle. I watched that when it came out. My uncle, I was 10. And he was like, "Oh, you gotta learn the ways of the world."
He zipped his balls, and it was called the what is it called? The saw. Can't remember the line. The eggs and sausages or something, man. Beans and sausages. I see you beans and sausages.
Oh my God,
I think
that is a great movie.
Dad was black in that movie. Not only that, dude, or her stepdad.
That's also I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Her brother was a fully autistic, and like it was unbelievable the stuff
that compared to now. Yeah, you just.
No, but now you know what? The pendulum swung completely back, and blah, you nailed it. It goes both ways. But I'll just say this. It's not going to surprise any listeners. I would much prefer a world where we're like this. You have to be able to laugh at people.
That's
the shit.
You got to be able to laugh at everything. That's the only way you get through it. You know what I mean? So, and I will say, so we said Schultz was on it, which was, you see...
Dude, can you play the Schultz clip? Actually,
I've got that. Let me pull up. He was killed it. And I will say, he just... I mean, for people who know, we've been following him for a while. I've been following him for a long time as a comedian, seen him live when he was coming up here. And now, obviously, as a podcaster, I really loved what they were doing with Brilliant Idiots and Flagrant. He just sold out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row. Did you see that? And then 50 Cent came out.
Yeah.
That was incredible. And then that was Friday, Saturday night, and this was Sunday. So he went straight after that, did this. And let me pull up the clip. I think it should be in the same thread here. I mean, he made the joke at the end about the Brazilian, about the UFC thing. That was pretty jokes.
Oh, the Brazilian purse. Oh, my. Dana White was there. And the head of... So, okay, let me add this.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you pull it up, but Dana White, UFC guy, the head of UFC founder, they were roasting him. What was the joke? I think Kevin Hart said, "You're the Michael Vick of humans." I was like, "Oh my!"
Wow.
People that know that.
I'm
joke
gonna play. This is 52 seconds, so let me just hit it. And look, by this point, this is a straight reaction episode. We're just doing music and comedy. I mean, this is what you gotta do once in a while. So this is the Schultz one. He looks ridiculous with his hair and mustache.
Tom, I know Bill Belichick showed up late, but don't worry. I'm sure he has someone secretly recording this so we can watch the whole thing later. Okay? Bill is secretly filmed more guys playing for the other team than Diddy.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is what I'm saying, man. This is wild.
That's your boy, Kev.
That's your
boy, Kev,
Tom
as well.
Said the reason he loves football is because it allows him to be his most true, authentic version of himself, hiding behind a mask, throwing things at black people.
Wow.
I'm kidding. He never threw to the black guys. Gronkowski, Edelman, Welker. That's not a receiving corps. That's a law firm. And with that divorce coming up, you're going to fucking need him. Oh, that's why Dana's here. So you can learn how to fuck a Brazilian out of half their purse.
That's it. That was the one we were talking about. I mean, that's pretty
incredible. Bro, you want to know why that joke goes so hard? I think Giselle is richer than Brady.
Say that again?
I think Giselle's richer than Brady.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah.
And she's Brazilian. No.
Half the purse, even more. You're right. Yeah. It's not just about him splitting.
Actually richer than Brady.
I think so too. You're right. Yeah. Anyway, so again,
hold on. This pod has gone crazy. I want to ask you something.
Go on.
I saw a tweet from Aubrey Straubel. A big fan of her Twitter account. She gives some hot takes in the Bitcoin space, crypto space. She said, "I did not like the roast. I did not think that Brady should have done that because too much of the family and wife stuff." I want your thoughts on that. I think she brought up a good point, actually, in the sense of...
I think... Go on, finish what you're saying.
No, she's just going to say, like, you're the GOAT. It's like, why bring... Like, Michael Jordan would never do this.
Are you saying she's... Are you agreeing with the fact that he shouldn't do it at all? He shouldn't do a roast?
You know how earlier I said the lines were getting crossed?
Yeah.
When she said that she had felt that it was too much on the kids and wife, I actually reflected a bit. I'm like...
I mean, you have to know that going in. It's the most obvious thing they're going to talk about, right?
That's what I mean, though, is like, why expose yourself to that? But the contra is this, is like, Tom clearly has a sense of humor. He took it all in stride, right? That's the contra. Yeah, it's impossible. You can't draw. The only thing
he's already a famous person. It's not like people aren't doing... I get what you're saying. And
they're already trolling his ass, right?
Yeah, complete. I think the way I even heard one of them talk about it is saying this is a great American tradition. Like literally another example is the president basically gets roasted
White House correspondence dinner. Yeah.
And that is the same thing. It's like that is part of, for all the good and bad of America, whatever. To me personally, as someone who loves comedy and loves the ability to make jokes or like to be able to talk about anything, the comedy is the purest form of that, right? Like they literally talk about things that you're not supposed to joke about or you're not allowed to even talk about. And that's why they've always had such a unique place in society.
True.
So I get her point of view and I completely respect that. It is a little bit, you're right. Like he needs to know going in that that's the risk. And he obviously was fine with that. My personal take is like the comedian should be able to joke about whatever they want to joke about. Like, I don't even think, to me, that's quite an obvious thing to joke about. I think Aaron Hernandez, like, to me, that's where
was
like
unbelievable,
you know.
dude.
And so for people who
listeners that don't know, Aaron Hernandez
commit suicide, right?
Was a tight end for the Patriots, played really good player, but killed 2 people and then committed suicide.
And it was a Netflix documentary on it.
Yeah,
which
just the darkest shit in the world. Right?
Yeah, terrible. Yeah. And so, again, you can have a position that you don't like that sort of humor, or people shouldn't joke about that. That's your decision. But there are going to be people who joke about literally every single thing. And so this roast is positioned as that. Like, you come to laugh at yourself and laugh at everyone. And that is, to me, like, if you think of your friend group, even us, right? Like us guys in a group chat, ours aren't that wild, but like, you know, once in a while you throw something in there that you're like,
dude,
okay. Every group chat.
I'm sorry, every guy listening to this podcast is in a group chat right now with 3 or 4 people where
if it got leaked, you're done.
You're done. You're canceled.
Completely.
Every person, I'm just, you know what? Even
probably people,
the ladies. I'm gonna say the ladies right now.
Oh yeah.
I see my wife looking at her WhatsApp sometimes snickering. I'm like, yo, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. Who's making you laugh?
I know you and the girls are laughing about something, right?
For real.
No, but so I'm gonna let me finish with this. Unless you had another thought.
Just to finish that thought really quickly, was that is the purest form of humor. Like, when you are friends and you know the intent, which is really what this is about. Your intent is just to make people laugh, and you're joking about it. It's not even about laughing at the expense of someone else, especially like in a group chat. You're with people who are your best friends and you're talking about anything. It's, you know, obviously some group chats are just making fun of people or whatever. But for me, those jokes have always been, our intent is to laugh. And like, we laugh because that's what brings us together. It's not about, let's make fun of this group. Because you said, everyone gets the jokes, including ourselves. That's the point.
Opportunity offender.
That's the best way to put it. So what were you going to say?
I'm just going to rattle off some of my favorite jokes that we didn't touch on.
Go for it. Please.
Nikki Glaser.
She was maybe the MVP for me. She was phenomenal.
Yeah, she might be MVP. She went after Brady. So actually, when Brady got hit up on crypto, I'm like, oh, wow, we're hitting him. So it goes, Tom also lost 30 million in crypto. Tom, how did you fall for that? Even Gronk was like, me know that, not real money.
That was good. That was very good.
Tom Brady going after Belichick. Everybody asks me which ring is my favorite. I used to say the next one, but now that I'm retired, my favorite ring is the camera that caught Coach Belichick slinking out that poor girl's house at 6 a.m.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Apparently Bill Belichick is tapping some of the younger talent, if you know what I'm saying. Bill Belichick went after. This is great. One of the running jokes about Brady is his buddy Alex Guerrero, his trainer and business partner. Bill Belichick goes, it was hard to butt heads with Tom because it was so far up Alex Guerrero's ass. Kevin Hart had a great line. I'm just gonna go through this, man.
Do it.
Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart going after Brady. Brady's marriage. Let me tell you something. When you've got a chance to go 8-9, that was a record that season, and all it will cost you is your wife and kids, you've got to do it.
That's wild. Yeah, well, Kevin Hart knows because he's had his own version.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know? Yeah.
Julian Edelman. Edelman kind of crushed him, man. The wide receiver. Who's laughing now, Tom? Not you, because your face can't move and you don't have a sense of humor. Bro, they brought out Will Ferrell as Ron Burgundy.
Oh, that was phenomenal. Yeah.
He's like Giselle. Is she like Spanish? Is Brazilian. Andrew Schultz. We did a bunch. So Kim Kardashian. She's also booed.
She got
so
booed.
hard.
And you see Portnoy post this?
Yeah, Portnoy went after her
Portnoy
so hard.
didn't get invited, and he was a bit hurt about it. Yeah, he's motivating me to be invited next time. So I'll go. That's quite funny.
So Kim K, but I will say Kim K. So first of all, she got completely. Tom Brady roasted Kim K. Some people think they might be dating, but Tom Brady goes, "Man, weren't you worried about coming today, leaving your kids with Kanye?" I'm like, "Oh my God,
that's wild." Yeah.
And then, but Kim Kardashian had a great line. She hit up Tom too. She actually hit up her entire family. This goes hard. Honestly, it's hard to watch people roast you, Tom. But I think I've had enough of my family members who have defended former football players.
That was
Her dad was OJ's lawyer.
Yeah.
That
was very good.
That was good. Peyton Manning had a killer line, man. Tom and I both golf. My handicap is 6, and his handicap is blowing leads to my brother Eli in the Super Bowl. Bro, Because Eli Manning had a great tweet of the night, Mike, with Eli Manning. He didn't show up. His brother did. Eli Manning goes, I didn't show up to Tom Brady's roast. Didn't want to roast him for a third time. That was really good. Here we go. I got a couple more and then we can wrap it. Oh, Randy Moss had a great line. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. He was on their team, obviously. Well, him and Brady were like Jordan and Pippen that one year. He caught 23 touchdowns. They're 18-0 before the Super Bowl, but he got introduced as Randy Moss, a 0-time Super Bowl winner. But he goes, you guys cheated without me. And then here, we're almost done here. Oh, actually, Robert Kraft. Go ahead, Bilal.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying. I'll go.
Yeah, okay. And then we'll take a break right after this. Robert Kraft, last one of the night. This was his joke. I don't know if you saw this one. He went, Vladimir Putin, if you're watching this, I want my fucking Super Bowl ring back.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that's a true story. Vladimir Putin literally stole Robert Kraft's Super Bowl ring.
Do you know what the story is? How the hell did that even happen?
They met over, it was like some political business event. And Robert Kraft's like, oh, here, Mr. President Putin, here's a Super Bowl ring. And then Putin's just like, oh, thank you.
He just kept
it. Act as if it was a gift. And that was it. Just walked away with it.
Well, why was he giving it? Why was he showing it?
It was like showing him. It's like, hey, we won a Super Bowl. This is what we get. It's like, thank you.
That's funny. All right, we're back. Trunk. Let's talk about Berkshire without Buffett. It was their AGM. What's going on in that world, man?
Did you follow it at all, or did you?
I just saw some of the Apple stuff a little bit, but not fully.
No, 100%. So the TLDR is, the highlight of the afternoon or the day, it seems, was a couple moments when Buffett was asked about Charlie Munger, and then one time he slipped and said something about Charlie, which was like, oh, you're just like, oh, your heartstrings, right?
Where he was. You mean he was just talking about it, or he said something he wasn't supposed to?
No, he was talking about Greg Abel, who is the head of, formerly the head of their power division, and Greg is going to be the next CEO of Berkshire. So Greg is now sitting. It was on stage was so it used to be obviously Buffett and Munger for decades. This weekend it was Buffett, Greg Abel, who will be the next CEO of Berkshire, and then Ajit Jain, the legend that runs their insurance division. Now, when he's talking about Greg, he's like, he's passing the mic over to Greg and says, "Hey Charlie, it's your turn." And then he's just like, "That's
tough."
Heartstrings.
It's like saying an old girlfriend's name, man.
Bro. No, it was a nice. I think everybody took it as like,
understood.
Oh man, it's like, it's like. And then the other thing was somebody asked him is like, if you have one more day with Charlie, I'm like, yo, bro, you're making me cry, bro. No, but he basically said the top line takeaway on the heartstrings side was everybody should go find their Charlie, is what he said. Is like find the person that you can spend the rest of your life talking to. It's not like a romantic partner necessarily. It's like somebody you intellectually be on the same level with. And, it enriches your life, is basically what he said. He's like, go find your Charlie as soon as possible. And then from a business standpoint, kind of the big headline thing was they trimmed their Apple position by 13%.
Yeah, it's still their biggest position though, right?
Still the biggest position by far. I think it still makes up a fifth of their entire market cap. So
they're sitting on a lot of cash. I saw that.
Yeah, sitting 160 or 170 billion. It's just so hard for Berkshire. I mean, we talk about it's like to move the needle at that level, which is why over the past, let's say 15 years, the ones that have moved the needle, the probably biggest one was buying Santa Fe North, which was the rail system. I think the third biggest in North America, maybe second biggest. Burlington, I'm going to say it wrong. Burlington North Santa Fe. I think they bought it for like $45 billion. But anyways, the thing I want to talk about was Berkshire after Buffett, because obviously that day is going to come. He said, I hope to be here again next year, which is like, a little bit morbid.
How old is he now?
94.
Wow.
So he's talking. He was very
understandably. 94, yeah.
And
he'd be having a burger a day, bro. He's on that Coca-Cola
cherry cola and a burger, 60 years in a row, man. Unbelievable. But
the opposite of Brian Johnson, but like lived a great life. You know what I mean? Either way, respect.
I'll do a side note on Brian Johnson. I've actually heard him on Tucker's podcast. So Tucker Carlson has a very different view than Brian Johnson, right? So Brian Johnson was a former Mormon and is doing this kind of body biohacking thing. And Tucker was much more like, we're supposed to die. That's the purpose of a lot of these religions that people follow. But he said something interesting during that chat with Tucker. He actually convinced Tucker to like come to one of his meals and meetings. But Brian Johnson was joking. He's actually Brian Johnson has a sense of humor. Is like, I'll tell you the joke here is, I'm trying to live forever, but the reality is I'm gonna probably die like choking on like a chicken wing, and everybody's gonna laugh at me. Right? It's I'm gonna get hit by a bus, and then all the headlines are gonna be guy tries to live forever, like chokes on a chicken wing. So
the
like
most entertaining outcome, bro, is the most likely. I completely understand. Yeah,
you nailed it. So a thing I'll say about Berkshire after Buffett is very interesting. There's about 4 people that we should know about, and Financial Times is running this whole a series about it. So the first thing I'll say is I'll just run through the main players. So Greg Abel will be the CEO. I actually don't know a ton about Greg Abel. I think he moved over from the Powers division to vice chairman or chairman or soon to be chairman, but he has experience making these large acquisitions, and I think that was very attractive for him to be the person to deploy all this cash they have, right? Because there's only so many more apples in the world that you can invest in, right? It's like there's not that much opportunity now to deploy that cash, but Abel has been the one that has been doing it. I think he might have did the Burlington North Santa Fe big deal that happened, but so that big one is he's got to help them. The 800 billion plus, that's a market cap now, invest. So that's a big deal. The other ones that are quite in the spotlight are Todd Combs and Ted Wexler. They are the ones running the portfolio, the investment portfolio. So FT ran the numbers, and it showed that they haven't been that impressive. So they manage right now about 27 billion of Berkshire's 350 billion investment portfolio. So I'm going to give you some numbers, and I know you're going to laugh because we got these crypto numbers in our brain. So this is the total returns for
Bowden. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. This is Todd Combs and Ted Wexler. They run about 10% of this $354 billion portfolio now. They've been at the company for over a decade. This is their performance over the past decade. 113% total return versus Buffett at 165%. Underperforming the S&P 500, 211%. But I was
that's hilarious.
They got 211% over the past decade. What is this? Returns for ants? Great.
S&P, incredible, man.
That means, do you know how hard it is to outperform?
I know.
S&P
that's why this whole industry is ridiculous. It just basically no one beats it. It's like a 5% people beat it or something like that, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So you're probably, people are thinking, it's like, why, like
especially public, like private, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, private if you like a hedge fund and you've got insider info essentially. Or we've all watched Billions where they're counting the sheep going over the thing, or the flights coming in, whatever. Like, yeah, you're finding your edge.
Or the line, right, is are you not uncertain? I am not uncertain.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Man, that's wild. Anyway, go on. So
so I would say but people are like, man, these guys are underperforming the market. But again, I just want to say, like, their job isn't just to outperform the S&P, right? A lot of it also is like to risk in a reasonably manner to manage this massive portfolio, right? And like they have to help Greg Abel, the incoming CEO, manage the insurance float, and then they have to help him manage the cash pile, right? So they're going to help him outperform like corporate papers and government bonds. The last thing I'll say about these two is, hilariously, the way they joined Berkshire's compete opposite ways. So Todd Combs cold called Charlie Munger, or got his number, cold called.
Oh, that's respect.
They became homies, and then he's like, Charlie's just like, why don't you come join or think about joining us? And then Ted Wexler, you know how Ted Wexler joined Berkshire? You're gonna laugh. You remember those Buffett lunches, those famous?
Yeah. He would auction off.
In consecutive years, he paid $5 million to meet Buffett. And it's like, I think 2009, 2010. And then Buffett's like, why don't you just come work for us? Dude, you want to laugh?
What did he do? Go on.
Insurance. He ran like insurance.
Okay, got it.
I'll tell you what's hysterical. These are literally the two opposite ways you can freaking get a job.
Yeah, paying for it or cold call.
Yeah. One cost you $0 and you're cold calling. The other costed you $5 million. But now they have one of the best jobs in finance.
Oh, yeah.
Why is this the best job in finance? it's long-term capital. No one's asking you for returns instantly. There's no capital calls. You have no LPs. Like Greg Abel is going to be your LP. You don't have to do any dividends or pay out anything to anyone. You literally just have to find investments. There's no pressure, which is why Berkshire gets to be, the buyer of last resort for a lot of companies and stocks. People come to them. They can make quick decisions. They have a lot of less stakeholders internally that to deal with. And the last person I'll mention is Ajit Jain. We like to make fun of McKinsey consultants at the NIA podcast. But Ajit Jain joined Berkshire in the mid-'80s. He was a former McKinsey consultant, had never done insurance in his life, but is just a genius. He's been running their insurance portfolios, and they famously, Berkshire Hathaway, has what people call float, because every year people pay premiums. That money, as you well know, Bilal, they can do, that money comes in the door first, and you just pay out the premium. You pay out claims as they happen. So Berkshire, famously for the past 4 decades, has invested that float. So the premiums get paid first, and they make so much money on those investments. And that's now being run by Ajit Jain. Well, Ajit Jain helps on the underwriting side. He underwrites these multi-billion-dollar claims, right? Like Berkshire is known for Geico, the car insurance. What was it with the lizard?
Little lizard.
Yeah, the little lizard guy, right? But Berkshire is also known for the reinsurance game.
Isn't it so funny, real quick, literally how brand works, that you said Geico and both of us thought lizard?
Yeah, you know it, right?
I don't know anything else apart from that.
Well, dude, you probably know this from working at Google. Insurance is one of the most competitive words in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Insurance and what is it? Insurance, credit cards, what are
I just remember on Google specifically the ones that were the most expensive keywords is insurance, any finance. I mean, mortgages, obviously, because if you think the lifetime value of that customer is hundreds of thousands,
that customer is, right?
So you're willing to pay $50 per click or whatever it is. And then the other one is lawyers too. You get some crazy CPCs, cost per clicks.
Well, actually, I'll tell you something interesting about the insurance industry. It's about, you probably know a lot of, were you with the people that ran the brand campaigns for like State Farm, Geico, Allstate?
No, I mean, I probably know some of the people, but don't know much about it.
But these guys do massive contracts.
Oh,
right?
It's insane. Yeah.
And we made fun of Chris Paul earlier, but he had one of the most famous campaigns ever, right? Is the Cliff
the twins or whatever?
Yeah, the twins.
Yeah.
Exactly. And but the reason why these insurance companies spend so much money on the brand side, so Bilal, expert in advertising, is like direct response is like instant. You can trace the purchase, and then you'll be able to measure the dollar, whereas brand is like, you want to be top of mind when people making a decision, right? And insurance is interesting because people are making the decision maybe once or twice a year. And these insurance companies, it's quite commoditized. It's like the premiums are all
it's like selling sugar water. You're basically just competing on the brand.
It's purely brand at this point, which is why Geico, we joked about it, like you said, it's like Geico Lizard. That's why there's so many mascots in insurance, right? Cliff Paul, Geico the Lizard. But anyways, back to Berkshire. Ajit Jain underwrites so well that this float that they have, they're making money on it. So the cost of capital for Todd and Ted and then Greg is so cheap because they're getting paid basically to pay out these premiums, right? When they're underwriting very well, and they have been, because Ajit Jain's apparently just the biggest G ever. A decade ago, Buffett said at the AGM, the annual general meeting, is like, if there's a sinking boat and me, Charlie, and Ajit were in it, like if you're a Berkshire shareholder, like you want to save Ajit. So they're just as summarized as Greg Abel, next CEO, Todd Combs, Ted Wexler will be running the portfolio. Performance-wise, maybe not the best, but they have the trust of this institution. And key point here, they're the ones that started and initiated the Apple investment, which Buffett followed up on. So, in life, sometimes one thing makes up for everything else, right?
Yeah.
And then Ajit Jain is the insurance guru. So that's just a summary.
No, and just last question on that. Obviously, Buffett's 94, you said, so they're obviously planning for after, as you just described.
Yep.
There is some speculation around they've got so much money stacked up that some people are trying to say, well, maybe that's because they think the stock market's overpriced. There's no real opportunity, which is kind of true in a way, because if they thought this was the best time ever to be buying, there probably wouldn't be that much left over. But I don't know what this is compared to the past of how much proportionately there's left on the sidelines. Do you have any thoughts on that, or anything you've read on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Berkshire always wants more cash than they need. They want, Berkshire got now in the past 2 decades, they're in a position where we talked about it, there's so few things that can move the needle, right? So few purchases they can move the needle on, which is why they make these massive $35 billion, $40 billion acquisitions. So to your question about cash, they basically, and over the past, let's say 15 years, they strike, or even the past, I mean, goes back further, it's probably the 90s, they saved Solomon Brothers, a famous bond trading firm, for a while, because they step in when everyone else needs.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So remember,
that's when you get the best deal, obviously, right?
Financial crisis is the most famous moment. They came in, got the craziest deals with Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and GE. Basically, the way they structured this is they got these companies desperately needed money, and Berkshire, when you get investment from Berkshire, it's a seal of approval, right? Is that it gives confidence in the market also. So they went into basically Goldman and Bank of America, and they got preferred shares. So they got equity, but that paid a fat dividend. And I think, and they got to buy, and they got warrants to buy these companies at a massive discount. So the amount of money they've made on Berkshire just from dividends and then buying in at a cheap price and Goldman is insane. I think they made hundreds of billions of dollars, 50 to 100. But yeah, so they love having cash. Is the take.
Yeah, okay, so fair enough. But so I guess they can always have that as their answer, as we, But I guess if this was 2008 and everything just dropped, they probably might not have this amount of money left over after,
No, they're
deploying that money.
Have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
They didn't do that well during COVID. To answer your point, they weren't that saver of last resort. They didn't see anything. They said they didn't see anything.
So. Well, interesting, because even in COVID, we still had stock market highs, right? Even though there was that drop.
Yes.
For a short period of time, then even in the uncertainty.
Dumb stimmies.
Yeah, because the money is be printing. There we go. All right, great way to finish it off. Thanks, Trung, for breaking that down. Strong episode. Let us know what you think of this one. Obviously, like we said, if you had kids in the car, we're sorry. But, sometimes you got to keep it adult here for the adults. Most of the people listening to this are adults. So we got to play it for the crowd. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like why is your kid even listening to this? Are you giving them investment advice?
They should definitely not be taking advice from 2 to 3 idiots on the internet. So that's a strong, bad move on your part, letting them do that in the first place. Anyway, let us know what you think of this. And I hope you guys enjoyed that, all the reactions. We might just have to do a reaction. Me and Trung were just saying, we might just have to do reaction videos, like 5 to 10 minutes of each song. Just let it ride.
Yeah, we should do it.
We got to get Trung doing a crip walk live on stream. And yeah.
ACL while doing it.
There we go. All right, that'll be good content, to be fair. That's terrible that I thought that, but that's the true story. That's how the mind works sometimes. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll see you next week. Peace.